Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Television. I'm Jay, this is Chris, and we're talking about Watchmen again tonight. We're on episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, episode 2 was called The Martial Feats of Comanche Horsemanship, which is a hell of a title. And episode 3 was She Was Killed by Space Junk.
Yeah, space. The aliens, all sorts of stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Watchmen. 3 episodes in now. Still pretty confused. Once again, background, we have not read the comics. Kind of going into the show, with a clean slate, disregarding the movie that came out and just taking this for its own independent series. And it's pretty out there. It's pretty confusing. There's aspects of all sorts of worlds coming together.
Yeah. We were just talking about this after watching episode 3, that there's a lot of world building going on, and they're slowly giving you some history and backstory, but I almost kind of wish we would jump into the story and then world build a little bit as we went along.
Yeah, take some time to, delve into all these little aspects. But no, they're sticking with, we're going to give you everything at once, and you just have to digest it.
You got to sort it out,
and sort it out, and good luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting approach, kind of similar to Game of Thrones. I kind of feel like they're going down that same road to, just build up a big world and kind of give themselves 8 or 10 seasons worth of content. And instead of trying to pigeonhole into starting with a small story and then slowly expanding, season by season. But I don't know if I like it. Like you said, not knowing the backstory, it's very uncomfortable not knowing who's the bad guy. Because we've got the 7th Cavalry, we've got some aliens, we've got, the FBI coming in. We don't really know who the main antagonist is.
Yeah, and not to mention Jeremy Irons' character, who is by far the most out there character I think that they've got on the show.
Yeah, we don't even know if that's taking place during this time frame, or was this 200 years ago, or another planet?
Yeah, he's got his castle and his clones, his servants, whatever you want to call them, that he, I would say, plays with. Kind of like he kills them, he repurposes them. I mean, he's kind of in his own little world, just doing his own thing.
He's writing something.
He's writing a play.
Yeah. It might not be good, but he's writing it.
So we'll see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm.
But, so you compared it to Game of Thrones, and I do agree that they've got this vast world that they're trying to build very rapidly, and they're giving you tidbits of all these different elements. I just don't think that this series, personally, is going to span the test of time like Game of Thrones did. They had 10 years to kind of play out these storylines, and at the end of it, you didn't want it to end. Mm-hmm. You're like, keep giving us more. Let's just go another 10 years. I don't know if this show's going to capture us. I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think part of it is we still don't really know the time frame, right? It was supposedly 2019, the first episode, but it's an alternate 2019. There's different history. The FBI agent is carrying a pager, which that's not modern technology anymore. If we go 10 years, are we going to be 10 years in the future? Or are we going to stay with the current tech? What are they planning to do there? I think that's tough.
Yeah, I feel like their technology, even in the current time period, they have phones, they have TVs, they have
electric converted cars.
They have electric, vehicles. But then they've got these weird, like we touched upon in episode 1, like a Zeppelin with this little pod that breaks away that looks like it's, a steampunk thing.
Yep.
They've got alien spacecraft.
They got squids coming down.
They've got mysterious squids, which they've addressed in episode 2. They had some newspapers where it said, squids, rain down. Scientists are baffled. So they're kind of alluding to, this is happening. We don't know what the hell is going on, but it's a thing.
And it's weird that, as audience members, they're not telling us. It's very, like I said, it's very uncomfortable as, watching this and not being told how I'm supposed to feel about this or which side I'm on. We don't really know yet.
So when Angela's bringing Will Reeves out from, the interrogation, / apartment that she brought him over to, out to the car, loads him into the car, and is getting ready to pack up the wheelchair, all of a sudden an alien just shows up with this big junkyard magnet and just latches onto the car
and takes it
and takes him out. I mean,
what was yeah.
How does that relate to, he's tying in the he's 105 years old. He's tying in the Tulsa, early storyline, that the race riots and all that, into the modern time, but then you have aliens. I don't know. I'm confused. If you guys have any
let us know. Tell us we're stupid and this is really easy to follow. I mean,
I'm sure that this will all play out by the end of the season 1. We're like, oh, okay, now we get what's going on. But I honestly have, I don't know what's next.
Yeah, so we're 3 episodes in, and I think the first 4 were released to early reviewers and early press. So I'm hoping something big will happen in episode 5. Maybe that's why they cut it off right there.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to have to wait and see 2 more weeks. So me and Jay talked about it, and I was traveling last week, so we didn't record. But I think we're just going to do an episode every 3. So we're doing 2 and 3 now. We'll do another episode covering 4 through 6, and then another one 7 through 9 for the finale.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a good way, because I don't know if one episode really is giving us enough information to talk about. I mean, they're just not sharing a whole lot yet.
It'd be more questions. I feel like, grouping them together, we'll at least have, some questions, maybe some answers, and some more questions. But yeah, we'll have more content to kind of judge this world that they're building for us.
So one little Easter egg that I saw in episode 2 was at the newsstand when the girl was she dropping off books or newspapers?
She was picking up some newspapers.
Picking up newspapers, yeah. So the girl was picking up newspapers, and the guy behind the counter was from The Wire. He played Bunny Colvin. So it's a nice little nod for HBO,
Oh, yeah.
One of their alums.
I feel like The Wire has alum everywhere.
Yeah.
Every show, ever comes out, there's always a cast member that was in The Wire.
Yep. And, we were just talking about the season 2 of Jack Ryan also has, The Wire alum.
Big time. So. Which, watch Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Great Jack show. Ryan. Season 2 was very good. Did you finish it?
I did.
I finished it too.
Yeah, that's one of those shows you can just binge in a day.
Yep.
It's good TV. One thing I liked, going back to Watchmen here, is the soundtrack, the music that's in it. Especially, I noticed in episode 2, it's pretty prevalent. And it took me a minute, but I could feel like I've heard this type music before. And yeah, it's Trent Reznor, from Nine Inch Nails. So I'm really digging the soundtrack that they've got going on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trent's done some good work, like Social Network with David Fincher. And yeah, I like that he's kind of evolved his career from Nine Inch Nails, which was really edgy in the 90s, to, scoring some of the best TV shows and movies out there. So
yeah, I can't wait to see what comes out, from future episodes here. Hopefully he does some more of the same.
So episode 2, another thing we got to see was paparazzi are flying around like superheroes, like with these little winged exosuits, I guess.
They're definitely very mechanical in nature. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's going back to it's technology that technically we could have today, if it worked. Mm-hmm. But it looks futuristic, and it's almost like, this is something that, in the future we can have, but it's mechanical in nature. There's no tech that
very steampunk,
doesn't
like
exist.
You said.
It's very steampunk-ish.
Yep.
They didn't stand up to any sort of abuse.
No.
They got shot down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Why? I'm sure they've tried to use those before for pictures. Obviously, they get shot down. Why'd they even try?
But that also raises the question, okay, if it is today's technology and times, there's drones. Everybody's got a drone.
You don't need an actual photographer.
You don't need some dude up there with some, wingsuit that's carrying this huge camera. Just use a drone.
Yeah.
So
totally.
There's a weird imbalance here of technology versus uses and what time is it?
Yeah. All right. So we did get a couple answers of things in these episodes. I think the first was the White Knight. It was the episode the night where all the police were attacked by the 7th Cavalry, and kind of introduced or it started off the need for all the police to cover their faces.
Right.
So we got to see Regina King and how that went down for her. How her captain or lieutenant, whatever he is, how they, they both survived that night. And, she kind of
seems
looked
like
up
that's
to him.
what started the big bond that they had.
Mm-hmm.
They both survived the shooting. He was there when she woke up from in the hospital and just said, "This happened. It's okay to grieve. Your partner got killed."
Yeah.
And she didn't want to leave the force. A lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, if you're staying, I'm going to stay too." So yeah, that's kind of the start, it seemed like, of their their bond.
The same episode, she goes to his house and goes in his closet, has these cool, X-ray goggles, kind of Batman-ish. And she finds he's got a Ku Klux Klan, like, robe.
Full robe, yeah, full outfit.
It's, like, on display. Like, it's lit, it's on a bust. And she steals it, which I don't know if she's using that to cover up that's what he was or somebody's lineage was.
Well, yeah, this goes back to, we find out he's dead. He's been hung in the tree. Will Reeves is in his wheelchair, at the base of the tree. She takes him into custody and is kind of interrogating him a little bit. And he's like, he had some skeletons in his closet.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes that kind of
literally,
and goes to his house, looks in his closet, finds this, and she brings it back to him and says, "Hey, this is what I found," throws it at him. And he's like, "Well, I didn't mean literally."
Yeah, I meant figuratively.
But you found something in the closet, know, that sort of thing. And she actually does a little bit of digging to find out who Will is, because who is this old man that he's 105 years old and he's saying he just, hung the chief, So she goes and puts his DNA in this database and finds out that it's her grandfather.
Which is weird that they would have a museum with an auto-dispensing DNA sampler kit.
It's the future technology that...
it kind of reminded me of the museum in Demolition Man. I was waiting for greetings and salutations.
Right?
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations.
Hey, it is what it is. You can do that, I guess.
We see another, hero in this, I guess, or another masked vigilante. The red-caped guy. We don't really know why we saw that yet, did we? I mean, we don't know who he is, or...
No, and that took place... Well, that was actually, I think, a show. That seemed to be, like a television show.
It felt like a television show.
Yeah. That was set in the, 50s era, 40s.
But why were we watching it?
Great question. We'll see if that plays a part into why things are the way they are, in the real world. But talking about vigilantes and caped crusaders, we see the FBI agent Blake. She's actually, setting up this massive sting operation in a bank where she's, going to rob the bank, and she's got hostages, and boom, one of the vigilantes shows up to save the day.
Yep.
And it's a setup. Everybody's a cop, and they take him out.
Yep.
I kind of like her character a lot. She plays a really, stern, cutthroat, snarky,
A lot of sass.
A lot of sass. And she has, one of the lines she says to Angela is, "What's the difference between, a masked cop and a vigilante?" And
she says, "I don't know."
I don't know.
She says, "I don't either."
I don't either. So I thought that was pretty good. But that's kind of her mentality, is she wants to take them all out.
So I did some reading. Her character is formerly Silk Spectre, which, I remember from the movie was played by Malin Ackerman. But back then, all her friends had masks on. Why is she so against them now? So I think we're going to have to find what that turning point was.
Right. We'll see. Time will tell, hopefully. Hopefully they kind of expand it, which I'm sure they will.
Mm-hmm.
Give a little bit more backstory to all these characters and these worlds that they're, just kind of throwing at us right now.
Mm-hmm. So episode 3 is kind of slow, in my opinion. We get a little bit of world building, a little bit of backstory, but not a whole lot. So really the big set piece is the funeral for Judd, played by Don Johnson. And there, we see somebody, comes in. They got C4 on them, and Jean Smart just takes him out. She really doesn't care.
Yeah, he's
she
like...
wasn't going to play his game.
No, he takes a senator hostage, and he's like, I've got a, heartbeat regulator thing on, so if you kill me, it's going to blow up and kill everybody.
Yeah.
And as soon as he, takes a step, boom, she just shoots him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, they don't always hook those up.
Yeah.
So.
But he did. It went boom.
Yeah, it just took some time. Angela saved the day, threw him in the grave, threw Crawford's body and casket on top, and hey, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. What else happened this episode? We get a kind of a weird art choice where the beginning, middle, and end of the episode, Jean Smart was in this basically a phone booth to talk to Mars, talking to Dr. Manhattan. And telling him jokes, kind of telling him some stories, and getting to the end and basically saying, you don't listen to me anyways, these messages. And I don't know, that felt kind of weird. Once again, I think we're just lost.
Yeah,
right?
It was this really elaborate, long, drawn out joke, if you want to call it that, where she kind of says, hey, I'm the girl that's throwing this brick and gonna hit, God on top of the head. He's never gonna see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, So I'm sure that's gonna be, once again, another storyline that's gonna evolve and develop into something. Her conversations, or is Dr. Manhattan really listening? Like, what's going on there?
Well, when she walked out, we saw like an explosion up on Mars, and a car came flying and almost landed on her. So
yeah,
does that mean he was listening?
Maybe
or
he is listening.
I don't know.
Or is it the aliens?
For being episode 3, we didn't have tons of Regina King. I really say this episode was owed to Jean Smart. Like, she really had a lot of screen time, and one of the best parts about this was she was talking to the interrogator with the chrome mask inside of his little interrogation room, and she called it the racist detector, which was great. And
yeah, called it what it is, and he didn't like that.
No, he said it's more complicated than that.
She immediately picked up his little remote control, which triggered all the screens to do his little test, and he's kind of like, hey, give that back, don't you don't know what you're doing.
Give it to Buster Scruggs.
Yeah. So she just calls them all out, makes it seem like you guys are putting masks on, you guys are stupid, what are you doing?
Take them off. Yeah.
Just take them off.
I don't know. I'm really lost, but I'm excited to see what the next 3 episodes are going to give us. Hopefully we get a lot more answers in that middle set, and we start building up to what the season finale is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like a big war with the 7th Cavalry, who they, rounded up in this episode, or if Jeremy Irons' character is going to come and start causing some more chaos, or Dr. Manhattan. Like, we don't really know who the end big bad is.
At this point, it could be anything. The 7th Cavalry, are they going to... They're collecting batteries, as we saw in episode 1. Like, what's going to come of that? So I feel like, they're at this point, anything can happen, which is kind of exciting. It's confusing, but it also keeps you on the edge of your seat. Kind of... You're intrigued. You're guessing like what's going to happen. So I like that aspect of the show, but it's something like I don't know if it's a good thing that we're coming in blind and just getting bombarded with all these new and fresh ideas, or if it's something where you would appreciate it more if you had the backstory and would have read the comics and can kind of follow it.
Fill in the blanks on your own.
These little subtle like hints that they're giving, because I'm sure that there's a million Easter eggs and hints. All the little headlines and stuff on magazines and newspapers that are getting flashed on the screen. I'm sure that that's the case.
Yep. But
coming in blind, just as it for the first time, it's a lot to take in, and it's just like we usually don't. This isn't a typical type of show to give you so much content all at once. So it's exciting. Let us, know what you guys think as well, because curious what everybody else is saying about it.
I'm sure you guys know more than we do. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of questions this week, so it's kind of exciting. Hopefully people aren't in their cars listening to this, screaming out all the answers, But if you do, hit us up, leave a comment either below on YouTube or find us on social media. We're at Southport Media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yep. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This was episode 2 and 3. We'll be back for 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, we will.
So stay tuned for that.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
And we'll see you in 3 weeks. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.